Alright, hello everyone. Shockwave back again. As promised in the previous video, the Napoli review, we are going to be going over the development blogs that were recently released this week. We have 4 to go over, and I'm quite excited actually. That's because we got 4 new premiums, and we got the 8th anniversary of World of Warships coming up. We got some test ship changes. We got the Clan Battle update, but for the next season, but that's kind of irrelevant to the majority of the audience because I know 80% of people who play this game don't play Clan Battles anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The trade-in is also coming up soon, but I'm gonna go over that the day that it goes live in game, just so people can get a better feel for it, like how it works, etc., etc. Anyways, first thing I wanted to start with, of course, is the 8th anniversary. This is the big one. This is the 8th birthday of World of Warships. The game was launched in 2015 in, yeah, just back in 2015. It's it's getting old. I've played this game since 2019, so I've been part of, like, the latter half of the first 8 years of the game. So it's been kind of fun. So we're getting a bunch of stuff. We're getting Airship Escort is coming back. It will be part of the randoms queue. I'll go into that in more detail. We got Bounty Hunts coming back, obviously. Um, we have a new token system, obviously. We got new camos, as you can see. The theme, as far as I can see, sorry, I still have a bit of a cough. The theme is Retrowave, and honestly, I'm quite excited for this because I'm a huge Retrowave fan. I'm a huge Synthwave fan. We don't really show it, obviously, but I love this kind of retro futurism vibe stuff. So we'll start with this camo, obviously, for the Zeton. Um, I love this. This is fantastic. As you can see, it says September 17, 2023. Um, I don't know exactly what that corresponds to. I think that just might be the release date of patch 12.8. September 17th is, let me see. Should just be a Wednesday, right? Oh, no, 17th is a Sunday. Huh, weird. Okay. Wasn't aware of that. But anyways, you can kind of see, this DeLorean style with all the copper plating, the wiring, and everything, and the red and green accents. It's in the shiny chrome, and I love the look of this. I absolutely love this. So this is one of the things you can look forward to. Of course, we are getting a Retrowave container on a Retrowave. This is what it looks like. And what this gives you, of course, are 50% chance to get one of the special camos actually from the previous anniversary events. So if you're missing camos for Orleans, Martel, Z23 Monarch, you also get the Legends of the Oceans permanent camo for Anhalt's, kind of whatever. The 6th game anniversary, 7th game anniversary camos. I don't know if they actually gave camos for the 5th, 4th, and whatever. I mean, that wasn't around that long, so I don't know. There's also a chance to get a bonus package for tier 5, 6, or 7. This is a linkable bonus package, so you can, like, if you have a favorite texture ship that you play a lot. Like for me, if I got one of these packages, I play Fiji a lot. So if I had a tier 7 package, I'd put it on the Fiji, and that would just be extra credits. And of course, there's a 5% chance to receive a tier 8 permanent bonus package. So if you have a tier 8 ship, let's just say, you like playing Shapaya, blah, blah, Baltimore, so on, and you don't have a permanent permanent bonus package for that, that's a free bonus package for you. And these bonus packages are fantastic because the bonuses they give are great. You don't really have to worry about, am I putting boosters on this, that, and the other thing. You can kind of get away with using green boosters. Or you can use blue or red boosters and combine with ops and operations, or, just run a premium, whatever. So yeah, that's the contents of the container. Now, this thing, of course, is the big kicker. We're getting festive tokens instead of super containers, or what was it, coal and steel, I believe you got it for. I think coal, steel, and super containers are still for the snowflakes in December, but this changed, obviously. So, as you can see, tier 5 through 7 ships will get 30 festive tokens, tier 8 through 9 will get 75, tier 10 ships will get 200, and super ships will get 300 festive tokens. And there's a bunch of rewards for this, actually. So, you can actually get a Bayard for free, essentially, if you complete enough of these missions, or you knock off enough these tokens. So, for example, I have 16, or yeah, I believe I have 16 tier 10 ships. So that would be roughly around 32. That would be 3,200 tokens for me. So if you have like a bunch of tier 10 ships, like you have what, 30 tier 10 ships, that's 6,000 tokens very easily. And then you can just knock off some tier 8, 9 ships, and you get the tokens for the Bayard. It's an easy way to get a nice free tier 8 premium. Alternatively, you could also get a 50% doubloon discount for 31,025 tokens. So that's nice. So, of course, the coupon will apply to these following ships. These are basically all the tier 8 cruisers and destroyers that you... I guess some battleships as well. So these are the following ships you can get the discount for. Which is nice. So if you're missing a ship from your collection, or, you know, you have a ship, like, let's say you want to get led to Reblay, or Z35 actually got buffed recently as 5.5 kilometer hydro, or you want to get a Kid, which is a really solid destroyer, Rochester, or you're a Massachusetts and you want to get a Tiger 59. I'm sorry, to my Tiger 59 homies out there. But if you want one of those, then feel free. That's a 50% token coupon. It's only available for the tokens, though. You could also get the DeLorean Camouflage for 1,250 tokens. That's definitely I'll be picking up because it looks sick. You get 7 Retrowave containers for 500 tokens each, total. And you also get 80 total super containers. The first 30 will be for 200 tokens each. So you basically get 30 free... You get 30... what is this? 30 super containers just for playing tier 10 ships. Unfortunately, the price doubles for the last 50. So the total cost would be 6,000 plus, what is that, 20,000? You would need 26,000 tokens, essentially. Now, I believe there was a chart somewhere. I don't remember exactly where I saw it. I don't think it was here. You guys probably got a brief glimpse of the port that will be there. But yeah, there was a chart. Apparently you can get around 46,000 something tokens if you play every single tier 5 plus ship in the game. So that's a nice bonus, I think. Honestly, it's like, you can basically get all the rewards for free if you play every single ship. And that's actually a nice touch by Wargaming, because previously you wouldn't be able to get all the rewards from the fest event, the anniversary event, for free. You would have to pay doubloons, loot boxes, what have you. But this is a nice free gesture from Wargaming. I think it's quite appreciative, actually. Obviously, they're going to be selling these Retrowave containers in the shop for doubloons, because that's how they usually do. Now, of course, they're saying they're going to change this. You know, you can get very valuable rewards just for playing lower tier ships. So something you can do, obviously, is just play a bunch of tier 6, 7, 8, 9 ships. 6, 7, 8s, and then you can get all the rewards. Which is, again, a very nice gesture from Wargaming. It's a nice change of pace, because usually you would just require the tier 10s, and you would, and most people, a lot of people don't have too many tier 10s. Like, even I don't have too many tier 10 ships. I only have, I think, like 16, and at most 17, and a lot of test ships, obviously, but that's test ships, and they don't count for rewards. So this is a nice gesture by Wargaming to include, you know, people who typically play lower mid tiers, like 6, 7, 8s, like, and you don't like playing tier 10s, or you just don't have a lot of tier 10s. This is a nicer way to get easier rewards. You know, like, you get the coupons, you can get the super containers, you'd also get, like, you can almost bonus containers and signal packs as well for these tokens. So that's really nice. Again, just a nice touch by Wargaming. There's also one more thing that I should mention with these containers here, and that is, in case you already have Bayard, you will receive a 100% discount coupon for tier 8 ships from the above-mentioned list. So, with the trade-in coming in next patch, let me just go back to the trade-in. Actually, I'm not even sure if Bayard is available for trade-in. Ships to get: Boise to York, Sensibleskovic, and there you go. Yes, you can actually get a Bayard from the trade-in. So, if you want to get that coupon, 100% discount coupon for a ship that you don't have, like, there's a ship that I don't have, I would really like, let's just say, I mean, there's nothing in the tier 8 shop that I would actually want, per se. But, you know, let's just say I wanted to get a Hampshire or a Wichita or Gascon or something like that. And I could just trade in for the Bayard, and I would be able to, you know, I would have a Bayard, which is a very good, you know, tier A premium cruiser. It's probably one of the best tier A premium cruisers in the game right now. You know, despite its shortcomings, it's still good. I mean, you know, 12 guns, good out, HE alpha, solid range, decent ballistics, main battery reload booster. It's a good ship. But I would also basically have a free tier 8, you know, because I would have the 100% coupon. So I don't know if Wargaming intended for this to happen, but if they did, I'm taking it. This is you know, 2 free tier 8s, plus one of them is really good. So, you know, there you are. Plus, I mean, you know, even if you don't have Bayard, you get, you know, 6,250 tokens, and if you accumulate another 3,125 tokens, that becomes a 100% discount anyways. So, go figure. Wargaming has never done this many nice things in one patch. This is great. Or 2 patches. This is great. Anyways, we are going to be getting 3 new commanders as well. These are all... This is Spain. This is Spanish, I believe? Yes, Spain. There's a bull in the back. Getting an American commander, and we're getting a German commander. Very retro themed. This is actually kind of... this is pretty funny, actually. I'm gonna lie. This gentleman here with his mustache. This looks like... this looks very Back to the Future-y. And you get the retrowave flag and the patch. If I get, I'm gonna definitely get this retrowave flag. That's cool. So, anyways, this is the new port. I'm gonna open this in a new tab as well, just so you guys can get a better look at it with all the different stuff. PTS for 12.8 will be out next patch. Next, or no, not next Thursday. The following Thursday. So you guys will be able to get an in-depth look at this. I mean, this just looks great with all the retrowave stuff. The this sort of mystical element to it as well, with all the cracks forming in the time-space continuum I can see, and the ship and the Colombo, of course, just floating on this. I mean, that's cool. This actually was something I was hoping for a long time, because I wanted the ability to be able to look at ships, you know, 3D. The only port I could do that in was in the designer's table, which I don't really like because it's a bit too bit cagey, or like just a bit too claustrophobic. Or you had the black hole port or the Azure Lane port, which you can mod in, but I was kind of too lazy to do that. So this looks really nice. I like all the little artistic details they're added too, with all the you know, the old film. There's probably like an old film camera back there. All the retro themed stuff. I mean, art department once again carrying, unsurprisingly. And of course, here's another view, other views of the port. I mean, this just looks great. Like, who wouldn't like this? Who wouldn't like this? This is fantastic. So anyways, moving on from that, we also get the Carl 14 Johann. Now, this is, of course, a premium battleship that was announced in the, I think it was 12.5, 12.6 test. This is, you know, the one with the 16 Gotland torpedoes. We're going to be getting this as well. I should probably ship this here a little bit. Yeah, there we go. It's perfect. All right, nice. So we're going to get the Carl Johann in the game as well. So this is going to be good as well. They haven't specified how they will distribute it yet, but I expect it to be you know, probably through loot boxes, or there will be a campaign or something or the other for it. It's a tier 9 battleship. Tier 9 battleships are actually quite desirable, even when in matchmaking today, because they make a ton of credits. And plus, they tend to be fairly unique, like Georgia, Sun Yat-sen, Musashi, so on and so forth. So I think it'd be quite good. Next, Airship Escort is coming back, ladies and gentlemen, and they have made some changes. First of all, it's going to be appearing in the random queue. I know some people are going to be like, yay, new game mode and randoms, and I'm like, nah, it's not that good, because Airship Escort's kind of like optimized for a certain set of ships, and it's like, hey, look, we're having fun, guys, and taking my Schlieffen and beating everybody to death because they're all pushing into me. It gets kind of stale after like 5 games. I mean, it's nice we're getting something else in the random queue other than, you know, standard battle, domination. Arms race is kind of a meme. I mean, it's fun to watch, you know, Halsey Des Moines or Halsey Sherman with full reload buffs active and just killing everything in like 5 seconds, but where's the fun in that after, like, again, 5 battles? So, this is a nice addition. This is something new. But, it's kinda iffy, because Airship Escort relies on cooperation from your teammates, and, you know, this is World of Warships. Expecting cooperation from your teammates is about the furthest thing you can expect. So, you know. They have made some changes, though. Obviously, they're changing the routes, so presumably a little easier, a little bit harder to actually navigate the ship to its destination. Spawn points have been changed on certain maps. Personal indicators, apparently, so that you know, number your speed in the airship, you know, the speed of the airship, the showing that your ship is in the zone as well as how many allied ships are in the zone. Um, and apparently we're going to be getting rewards for you know, slowing down or speeding up airships. So I'll take it. That's actually quite nice. Plus, you know, presumably all the awards from the Airship Escort mode will carry over to randoms, so that'll be nice. So of course they're gonna be changing some things. Now, the RU devlog probably was devlog. We go here. This is the RU devlog, actually. Oh no, this is the regular one. Hang on. This is the. Oh, never mind. I can't find it. I'll try and find it. I'll link the RU devlog below when I post this video to YouTube. But there are actually certain things that were shown here. We're going to be getting to this. Obviously, we get to this. There's a few changes here. Got 2 new perma camos. So we'll go over that a little bit shorter in short order. But just before we go any further, I do want to specify that there's further information available on the Russian devlog as well, so that if you guys want to take a look at that, you know, feel free. I'll link it down below. Anyways, moving on, they're going to be changing the bounty hunts. Now, previously bounty hunts used to work a bit differently. If you're new to the game, the way bounty hunts used to work before they changed it to the current system, excuse me, was that you would actually have press counts with all the ships unlocked, right? And there would be a special bounty Discord server where the bounties can hang out and everything. And you could basically play these ships, and if anybody killed a bounty, then you would be, if you killed a bounty, you would be given a certain reward, depending on, you know, Halloween bounty, Thanksgiving bounty, patch, whatever. A small amount of doubloons going to be entered for a raffle giveaway for a special ship. I believe the last time was Missouri. A friend of mine actually won that. So they changed the system, so now it's like marked. I think bounty ships, I think you still get certain rewards for killing bounties. They appear in the combat missions tab. But the bounty mission actually bounties haven't actually seen any update until now. So we're going to now get new achievements. You can either accept or reject the role of bounty, and visual improvements about ally bounties were added. So we have to see what those will be. Obviously, they should be available on the RU devlog. I'll link it down below. If it's not there, that's kind of whatever. So you're going to be getting 4 new awards. Gunpoint, you win 5 battles as a bounty. Counter punch, 4 enemy ships as a bounty. Matter of honor, destroy an enemy bounty while being a bounty yourself. Receive 1 million potential and be top 3 while all bounty allied ships survive. This last one's going to be kind of hard, but it's probably achievable. So Seek and Destroy, obviously this is the previous achievement, so if you get it if you kill a bounty ship. So that's nice. And of course, finally, before we go to the additional content, they're going to be changing the signals again. But it's not like, oh, they're adding new signals or they're changing some characteristics or anything. No. So what they're going to be doing is you can now auto-buy signals, like how I think you used to be able to do this back before they changed the signals and the economy. They used to be able to buy flags for credits, or actually, no, you weren't able to. You could buy credits in the armory. Buy credits in the armory, buy flags in the armory for credits. But now you'll be able to auto-buy flags with credits, which is actually really nice. So, I mean, this is just another way for, worrying to drain people's bank's account, credit stocks, but this is actually a really nice quality of life change because I'm one of those people that actually find myself running out of credits a lot. So, not credits, flags. I'm sorry, I have ADHD. Go figure. But anyways, I'm one of those people that finds himself running out of flags a lot. So this is a nice change because now I don't have to go back and, spend research points on flags when I could just save them up, get legendary modules, get ships, this, that, and the other thing. Which is a really, really nice change. It's something I really appreciate. So in any case, now we're getting new content, a nuclear symbol. This is really nice. We're getting rookie. Oh, this is towards the universe. Sorry. Progress, meritorious service, and the flags, obviously. We're getting 3 new classical commanders from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. This is actually I actually need to read this. We have Mengshang, Lo Shan, and the Three Kingdoms patch. This is the Three Kingdoms patch. Cao Cao, Yubei, and Shun Quan. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm just pronouncing it just how my English brain would actually interpret it. We're getting this. And we are getting 2 new clones. We're getting the Mengshang and the Lu Shan. This is basically just an Aegir and a lion. I don't know why they chose a lion. You could have just used anything else. You could use anything else but these 2 ships wargaming. Come on. These 2 are kind of about as mediocre as you get. I'm not complaining though. 2 brand new premiums, and you probably could get them out of loot boxes, or you can just buy them outright for some currency or the other. We'll probably get more details about this. We're getting 3 new commanders. Mikhail Orlov. This is the Russian one. Orlov is actually a real person. Anton Grant and GN22D. I think this is. Wait, let me see this. Mikhail Orlov. Yes, Russian general. This is a warrior. This is a general thing. So yeah, probably goes by that same name. Not sure if he actually looked like that though. We're getting a robot GM22. I think this is some obscure reference. I'm not sure. If anybody could tell me what it is, feel free. Anton Grant also, I think. I don't know. Anyways, we're also getting the Scarlet Thunder, which was recently announced. For some reason, I actually thought this was going to be a test bed for changes to the main Burj Battlecruiser line, but turns out that's not going to be the case. So, go figure. We're going to be getting the Scarlet Thunder, obviously, as a new premium ship, with this really cool Ekranoplan camouflage. That's kind of why it has these engines on the side, and there's actually a really cool visual gimmick that is on the RU devlog. When the repair party consumable is triggered on this ship, there's little robots that will actually go along the side of the ship and will go and repair it. Shoot. I need to fix this. That's fine. I can leave it. Anyways, we're also going to be getting the perma camos, new space themed camos for the Delhi and the Preußen. I really like the Preußen one, actually. It's quite good. My only complaint is it's German, right? Actually, no, that's not what I meant to do. Open a mission, new tab. It's German. What's this? It's Russian. Come on. That's my only quibble. Otherwise, this looks fantastic. So that will be the 8th anniversary devlog. So it's going to be coming up with patch 12.8. Can't wait to see this. Yeah, live. It's going to be great. Anyways, I'm going to leave the balance changes for last. We got changes to defense and Lushun, Shill, Scarlet Thunder, Defense, Kitakami, and U4501. As you guys probably saw today, if people actually bother to watch the stream, I know a lot of people bother to watch the streams. We got 4 new premium ships. The basic rundown of it is, of course, we got 1 brand new French premium battleship at tier 8. We got a new premium tier 9 Italian cruiser, a new premium tier 9 Russian battleship. It's kind of hard to describe. And we got a brand new, by brand new I mean the 8th tier 10 Russian heavy cruiser. Not heavy cruisers, just 8th Russian cruiser at tier 10. We got the Petra, we got Nevsky, Moskva, Stalingrad, Sevastopol, Smolensk. and then this. It's the 7th. Sorry, 7th Russian cruiser at tier 10. I mean 8 if you want to count Khabarovsk, but who counts that? Anyways, so we'll start with the Frenchie. This is the Picardie. I think that's how you pronounce it, Picardie. I'm trying to do that with a French accent. I know User is going to kill me for it, but it's whatever. So what this is, in short, as you can see, as you know, Wargaming themselves say, it is a modification to the Lyon class, armed with 16 305mm guns. Now, you're probably looking at this and saying, whoa, 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 hang on, Shockwave, this looks a bit overpowered. It's a Lyon hull. Lyon's relatively tanky, because it's got a lot of plating. It's not like Normandy, where it's like, oh, it's just 26. It actually has plating, because if you take a look at, you know, Lyon's armor scheme, it's actually quite comprehensive. You'd be right, in the sense that the armor is actually going to be decent for a French battleship, unless they completely stripped it away and said, well, no, you can't have the good plating, here's 32mm all over. Well, we'll have to see. That superstructure is hideously massive, though, which is a problem. God, it's ugly. it looks too... It looks hideous, honestly. I mean, it just doesn't look good. It's not like the Richelieu, which actually looks really nice. And the guns are the big issue. You know, 16305s think, oh, it's a miniature Mecklenburg. It's going to be great. Why not just put it at tier 9 or something? The problem is, this is not Cherbourg's 305, the same guns you see on the Cano. These are the Toulon's 305mm guns. And what that means is relatively mediocre shell velocity, relatively mediocre penetration, and, yeah. It's not gonna be great. This is the same guns as the Toulon. So, yeah. And I mean, it's massive. So I expect things to, you know, kind of be out the wazoo. Go over the stats. 53.4k health, same as the Lyon when fully upgraded. 32mm plating, obviously because it's a tier 8. 70% torpedo reduction, kind of on the low end, but it's manageable. So as I said, 4x4 305s, huge firing range, 22.7 kilometers is a lot. But yeah, 4050 HE alpha, 51mm of pen, really low fire chance actually. 17% fire chance is not a lot. I mean, yeah, 16 guns, so that's fine, but a comparative 305mm gun, if you were to take a look at Cherbourg actually for a second, you know, comparative. Actually, let's take a look at Toulon's 305mm guns as a comparison, because as I said, this uses the same guns. Premium Cruiser Toulon. So, yeah, it has the exact same guns as the Toulon. 4050 HE Alpha. Relatively good HE velocity, but very poor AP velocity. So, what this is going to end up being, obviously, is a, you know, oversized Toulon. Better range, but the AP ballistics are probably not going to be very good. Actually, let's take a look at the Toulon's artillery, and see what's up with that, because I don't remember exactly what the ballistics looked like for that, so there we are. Yeah, penetration isn't great. Out to 25, so 22.7, this is going to have probably the worst penetration of any battleship in the game, past tier 6. Like, if you were to even take something like, let's take a look at, like, Bayern, for example, which has, you know, horrendous penetration. Even that has better penetration out to that range. 226mm of pen, super light shells, because it's early German World War One. Or take a look at something like, sorry. Where's the Toulon? Hang on. France, Toulon. Yeah, you could see, like, you know, flight time on the AP, I mean, it's similar to the Bayern, but even Bayern has better energy retention. I mean, granted, it's a 380mm gun, but the shells on that thing are stupidly light, so that's the kind of the comparison I drew. You know, let's take a look at other 305mm guns of similar nature. Are there any 305mm guns at tier 7? I think the best comparison I can draw is probably Graf Spee with... or Scharnhorst. Yeah, let's just draw a comparison to Scharnhorst. Even Scharnhorst has better penetration out to 22 kilometers, like out 217-ish. This is smaller guns, by the way. The point I'm trying to make is that the penetration of these guns is not that good, and that's a problem, because as a battleship, you're kind of leaning towards, can I hit a cruiser? But if you're striking like a 6-inch angled belt at 20 if striking a 6-inch angled belt and you have like no penetration, the effective angle of, strike, let's just say this is the armor face, right? You're striking the armor face here. If you're coming in at a plunging angle like this, the armor is going to become thicker, right? So you effectively lose effective penetration because of that angle. And that's my problem. The AP is kind of iffy, right? Because if you want to use this as an AP spinner, or you want to play those like an actual battleship, it becomes a problem. And the HE, though, I mean, it's got solid alpha and good penetration, but the fire chance is extremely low. The velocity of the HE is pretty good, but as far as I know, the air drag on this is actually quite high. I'll take a look at this on the fitting tool, actually. 1 second. Let's bring this up really quickly. So if we go to window capture 2, very quickly. And scale this. There we are. Right, so ship tool. Now these images up top are obviously going to be what we've seen later. Take a look at France. It's alone. We take a look at her. Her air drag. She has 0.4 air drag on her HE, and she has 0.35 air drag on her AP. The impact speed's quite low. The effective penetration of the shells at our maximum range is quite high, in theory, but again, the angle it's coming in, it's 10.5 degree impact angle, and it's going to be defeated by pretty much every single battleship caliber shell. And more importantly, again, penetration is a massive issue. I'm going to keep repeating that with this ship. Picardy's AP penetration is not going to be good. So you are essentially forced to rely on that HE, which again has a terrible fire chance. But there's a few good things here. I'm going to ignore most of this for now. You have a very fast reload, 25 seconds, which is on the fast end for a Tier A battleship. I think it's the same as Monarch, same as Vanguard. Relatively good turret traverse, horrendous dispersion, obviously, but 16 guns. But because of the low velocity, I anticipate that the vertical dispersion will be quite good. But if you take a look here, you have a main batterie de Bestial, which means you actually can pump out more salvos. 25 gets cut in half to 12.5, so you get an extra salvo, essentially, every single time you pop that reload booster. You get 4 total charges, because no SI. Which is actually weird, because it's kind of weird that like it gets 4 charges, because the other French battleships get 3. Which is kind of sus, but I can live with it. It's also 120 seconds, so standard French battleship main battery reload booster stuffs. Anyways, secondaries are kind of bulk standard French 130mm guns. Standard depth charge, AAs kind of suck. Don't expect anything good out of it. It's Lyon AA. I mean, Lyon at tier 8 has some great values. I think, let me just take a look at what Lyon's values are. FT. Fitting tool, let's take a look. France, Battleship, Lyon. Yeah, Lyon, oh, Lyon actually has terrible values, never mind. Lyon actually has slightly better values. I think, back, oh no, hang on, I think that was the stock hull. Wasn't taking a look at it properly. So this is basically stock hull Lyon AA. Because if we were to take a look at the Lyon's upgraded hull, the AA goes nuclear. So she loses a longer range AA DPS, but she gets 300 medium range and then 200 short range DPS. So, kind of stock Lyon AA, I guess, with, upgraded Lyon hull and worse guns. So, go figure. Maneuverability is decent. At 27 knots is kind of slow. Turning radius is great. Rudder shift is pretty average. She's going to have great surface detectability. So 13.9 times 0.81 is 11.2, which is actually on the low end. It's actually one of the lowest detectability values at tier 8. I think the only one lower is... Actually, I think that just might be the lowest, because even Atlantico is 11.5, 11.6, Roma is 11.7, Monarch is 11.5. Yeah, it's practically the lowest. Good air detectability. Actually, very good smoke firing penalty. 1.1 on 305s is pretty good. And standard consumables. Minus the main battery reload boost, yeah. So, what do I think? The guns are going to hold this thing back massively. It's just going to be an HE spam battleship. Even with that accuracy, it's not going to be good. The penetration is going to be bad. Flight times out to that maximum range, 22.7. I mean, you kind of want to be playing closer. Unless, if it has the 32mm plating that Leon... 32mm... Sorry, not Leon. Leon has, the extra plating. If it has that plating, then it can afford to play closer. That mitigates the ballistics issue. But if it has the 32mm plating, then you're kind of forced to play longer because you're going to get up tier to tier 10. You have overmatching battleships, you have all sorts of other problems, and you're going to be kind of forced to play at longer ranges, and the ballistics are going to become a real issue. It entirely depends on the armor scheme at this point. So far, kind of looks a bit suck, but I can live with it. Next, the Michelangelo. Let me just close this. So, this is a weird one. And I'm going to show you why in 1 second. Let me just put this here. All right. This is the design for Michelangelo. Right? So this is Vincenzo De Feo's 1935 medium battleship design. Medium displacement battleship design. So this is basically like a preliminary competitor to the Dunkirks. And this was before Japan backed out of the treaty and said, no, we're not going to obey the treaty. And they went on, built the Yamato and everything else. And so Italy said, okay, we're going to ignore this. And we're just going to go all in on the Littorios. And they built 2 more of them. And of course, France also said the same thing. They built the Dunkirks, but then they built the Richelieus. So this was kind of a answer to that. So as you can see, the turrets are located in the middle of the ship, like so, with the quad secondaries here. Now, obviously, this is just a sketch design, and you can kind of see there's no funnel. And there's kind of a weird reason for this. Apparently, it was supposed to have diesel propulsion that vented out the bottom of the ship, but that was a bad idea. Wargaming actually did one-ups the Italians here and actually did a good job instead of making an Italian ship worse, because now the exhaust will actually vent out the top. And that's a good thing, because if you have diesel engines that vent into the ocean on a ship of this scale, you're going to essentially choke your own engines in their exhaust, right? If you vent out that way, because there's no back pressure. There's nothing necessarily forcing out the diesel exhaust. There's not enough back pressure there to actually keep the pipes clean, so to speak. And so you end up with that funnel in the middle. So yeah, basically what it is this weird abomination. So we'll go over the parameters really quickly. 66,100 hit points. Actually, wait, hang on. I need to change this back. Oops. So this is the Michelangelo, as you can see. Open a new tab. See here, she has 12 152mm secondaries in what's this? Yeah, 3 quad turrets, so 2 forward, 1 aft. She has the 2 main battery turrets located in the middle, and of course she has some 90mm secondaries on the side. Now, you can probably tell, there's nothing about the secondaries here. I've been told, well, Wargaming themselves told us on the livestream today, these secondaries are SAP, so assume same values for the shells as the Napoli secondaries, unless otherwise stated. So anyways, parameters, 66,100 health, 25mm plating, 60-second fires, it's a battlecruiser, standard stuff. Relatively good torp protection, 22% is pretty good. It's the same value as Napoli. But given its size, I mean, it looks massive. We don't know the exact parameters yet. But what you end up with, again, it's the battlecruisers. This is the first Italian tier 9 battlecruiser that we're getting. Yeah, I know we're getting Ruggiero dell'Auria, which is coming fairly soon, but that's a battleship, and it's a Ferrati design, which is frankly enormous. It was a battlecruiser reimagined as a battleship. That this is a battleship reimagined as a battle cruiser. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so this is what we're getting. This weird thing with two turrets in the middle. So 2x4 320mm gun, 17km firing range. But given what we're seeing here, these are basically the same parameters as the Andrea Doria. Let me just bring that up really quickly. I should really keep WASD open. Let's see, Italy, Battleship, Andrea Doria, upgraded range. Yeah, basically the same parameters, just minus the firing range being slightly shorter. Because you take a look at, I mean, yeah, faster reload, better accuracy, obviously, because it's a cruiser. But if you take a look at the sap shells, same values, more or less. Same velocity, same values, probably the same air drag. So these are basically the Italian 320mm guns we found on Doria, we found on Giulia Cesare. So expect good gun performance. Not like game-breaking gun performance like Kronstadt Stalingrad, but I would expect really good gun performance, especially with the SAP having 83mm of penetration. This is going to be really good against cruisers, especially the Russian armored ones. And you can also SAP Citadel some targets. You're going to face tier 7s with it. It's tier 9. You're going to face tier 7s. There's going to be a lot of cruisers and a lot of battleships that have very little resistance to SAP shells. So there's that. Turret traverse time is relatively quick. Reload time, 24 seconds. It's pretty good. Nothing bank breaking. Actually, kind of fast reload. I mean, it's only 8 guns, but the dispersion should compensate accordingly. The only question is firing angles, and given, you know, the way the superstructure protrudes out, I would kind of expect the firing angles to be very, you know, like out to here, but somewhat limited towards the back, more limited towards the front, given, you know, the layout of the superstructure and such. So that's definitely something to consider. I mean, as it is, Wargaming themselves also say limited firing angles, so that's something to watch out for. Alright, so torpedoes... Actually, I can touch on the torpedoes after. It's just standard depth charges. The torpedoes are probably the most unique characteristic out of the ship, other than, you know, the layout of the ship itself. These are not, you know, bog standard Italian sea mines. These are actually very powerful torpedoes. 20,000 alpha damage, 20,433 Pedantic. 8km range, very high speed, decent reload time, pretty poor detectability. These are kind of reminiscent of Japanese F3 torpedoes. Kind of shorter range, high damage, very high speed, good-ish reload time. So these would probably be very good uppercutting enemies. I'm not sure what the caliber of the torpedo is, though, because normally Italian torpedoes are like 13,900, very long range, very slow. We see this on basically the entire Italian cruiser line and the Napoli. So this is a bit of a change of pace. I kind of expect them to change it at some point, but it's not guaranteed. I kind of want them to keep it, though. It'd be fun. As a brawler, especially, given her consumable set. Secondaries, obviously, I just said there's SAF. We don't have any actual parameters. Probably the same ones as Napoli. AAs kind of suck. A lot of flak, but it's 4.6 kilometers. Standard Italian AA, so kind of sucks. Maneuverability, of course, 33 knots maximum speed. It's on the slow end for an Italian cruiser. Most Italian cruisers, like, around this range are like 35 plus. So, outnumbered maybe? I don't know. 830-meter radius, 14.4 second rudder shift. It's on the worst end, but given that this is a battle cruiser, I kind of expect that. Really good detectability. 12.8. Now, 12.8 minimizes to 10.3. That's the same as the Napoli, I should emphasize. What that means is a lot of sneaky breakies. A lot of tier 9 and 10 cruisers don't even get that low. Never mind, some tier 8. Tier 8s tend to be on the low end, actually, in terms of concealment. But a lot of tier 7 cruisers have very poor concealment. And again, this will face tier 7s, right, with that SAB and this kind of concealment. The only liability, again, is the firing angles. But if you're facing something like, you know, a Shores, or a Fiji, or Helena, or, you know, a weaker tier 7 cruiser like, say, you know, Pomono. I say weaker tier 7 are probably the worst of the tier 7 cruisers. You face a lot of weaker ships like that. And what you end up with is kind of this monster versus top tiers versus bottom tier ships, like the kind of concealment this thing has, and you take a look at the consumable set. This has an exhaust smoke and a German hydro. So what this means is you can kind of just bully around tier 7s for free with this ship. Given the ballistics, given this, again, this is Italian guns, great ballistics presumably, the kind of toolkit this has, I mean, yeah. So my overall take on this one, obviously, is, looks good, um, but could potentially be game-breaking if it's allowed to stay in this state. And it faces tier 7s a lot, but probably won't do as well in tier 10 super ship matchmaking. And that's largely to do with the fact that obviously, this kind of firing angles. I mean, if firing angles are as limited as they say they are, and given how wide the turrets are, and some other shots, the RU Devblog is a better shot. I'll link it below. It could struggle in super ship matchmaking. But yeah. I mean, Camel looks nice though, honestly. Next ship, the Soviet battleship Navarin. Now, what's that again? Probably looking at, no, I know a lot of people are looking at this and probably going, what the heck is that? Right? What is this? I'll tell you what it is. This is the Bubnov 1915 Black Sea Dreadnought design. Now I want to bring this up really quickly, actually. Give me a second. Here we are. This is the Bubnov design. As you can kind of see, it's been heavily modernized. There's also been some alternative proposals from a few other compatriots of mine that have suggested that this might actually just be the original Black Sea Dreadnought with one turret removed. So basically what, the Russians said was like, hey, I want, the Imperial Russians said, not the Soviets. The Imperial Russians was like, hey, we already have some good dreadnoughts. Let's make giant ones that will scare the crap out of everybody. So the Black Sea Dreadnought program was born. These are basically supersized Ismail/Borodino class battlecruisers, armed with 16-inch guns. The biggest one actually has 16 16-inch guns. I'll probably see that as a tier 10 at some point, given that this has just shown up. And, with this one, actually, we can kind of see a lot of resemblance to the Ismail in that forward hull structure. I'll actually move my camera out of the way really quickly so you can actually see that a little bit better. You can sort of see that resemblance to the Ismail there in the turret layout and everything. And the secondaries, obviously. And the secondaries, I mean, those are... I think those are Riga secondaries, actually. Which is kind of weird. But, go figure. I mean, I guess Wargaming was like, hey, we're going to break the bank for this one. So we're just throw everything on it. Now, this, of course, has a full 130mm secondary complement, I should add. Other than that, I mean, it's just hideous. that's all I can say. So, yeah, as I said, this is basically very standard, mid-1910s Russian, like, hey, whatever. Oh, this is the last one. It's also Russian. We'll get into that in a minute. So let's talk Navarin. HP pool 69,400, which is on the low end. This is roughly the it's only 100 health more than the Jean Bart, but presumably a lot better armor. It's a Russian dreadnought. Russian dreadnought and super dreadnought designs typically had a lot of plating. I expect this one to have a lot of plating too, but very similar to most Russian battleships. Well, similar design. I kind of expect this entire thing to just be set already here. So who knows? Anyways, yeah, 32mm plating, 18% torpedo reduction, very low actually. That's very low torpedo protection for a battleship, and that's kind of a problem because it's tier 9, tier 10. You're gonna start fighting a lot of torpedo boats, and if you eat torpedoes, I mean, kind of a problem, especially with this kind of low health pool. Now we get onto the guns, and this is the weird one, right? These are early war, like early design Soviet 406mm guns. This is not the absolutely god tier Soviet 406mm guns we see on the Soyuz and the Borodino, and the god tier guns we see on Slava. Minus dispersion, but who's counting? Penetration, all the other gun handling stats are fantastic. These are very early war stuff. As you can kind of see, the AP alpha is dreadfully low. So that indicates to me a very light shell or relatively low crop. Who knows? HE is actually kind of decent. 5850 alpha, 68 millimeters penetration. Very good fire chance, actually. 41% fire chance is actually great. So this might actually be a pretty solid AP HE spammer. The problem is that the velocity is incredibly low. 793. It's actually faster than the Americans, but given I kind of expect the air dry to be quite low. That's still really low velocity. I know I complain a lot about American shell velocity, but for a Russian battleship, that's actually quite low. If you take a look at the Sinop's 406mm guns by comparison, even Sinop is actually slower, 766. It's got higher alpha though. So that kind of tells me that these are lighter weight, faster shells. I don't know. So penetration might end up being on the low ends. Probably figure around, tier 7, tier 8 levels of penetration. Not like tier 9 levels of, I'm going to punch through everything. So yeah. For some reason, though, yeah, reload 33 seconds, which is actually very fast, for a tier 9 battleship, with 12 guns especially. But I think they're counting on this awful Sigma and, I mean, it's standard battleship dispersion, so I kind of expect this thing to be very inaccurate. It's not the Russian battleship dispersion. It's like, oh, you could turn the value to 0, but if you get under, like, 10 kilometers, you're going to hit everything anyways, because that's how the curve works. I mean, the curve, tapers out very quickly after a certain point. But underneath, 12, 10 kilometers, that typical Russian battleship death zone, shells will more or less go where you want them to, unless, you have a lock-on issue. For some reason, though, despite how old this ship is, apparently they found the Soviet WD-40 because the traverse is still 30 seconds. This is the same as the Soyuz, which is kind of a mystery. I don't know. Anyways, standardized depth charges, obviously, one flight, 4,900 damage, you'll hit something. You get 2 bombs, so if you hit submarines, GG. You get, the casement 130 millimeters. But here's the weird thing. So the 130mm guns here, the 8 twins, those look to me, if you zoom in, those look to me like the typical Russian 130mm secondaries you find on the Riga. Or, yeah, those are Riga secondaries, or basically Delny turrets. And this is the weird thing. Why do they have the same velocity? Why do they have the same initial velocity? I mean, HE Alpha is unified, I'd probably expect that fire chances, but I was kind of expecting these to be faster. So why does it has modernized turrets? Does it use the same guns? Or what? I'm kind of confused. We'll leave that to Wargaming to explain. Anyways, so when you go to AA defense, I mean, you can kind of see long range. Long range is kind of oof. 6 flak, 1540 alpha, 1540 damage is kind of okay. Huge short range DPS, but 2.5 kilometer A kind of is not great. 3.5 kilometer mid range, 266 DPS. This is kind of un-Soviet like to have good short range DPS, but very mediocre long range DPS. But I mean, it's a pre-World War II design, so I'm kind of unsurprised by that fact. Now, the maneuverability. This is kind of interesting. Very un-Soviet-like turning radius. This is probably a pretty stubby battleship, actually, now that I think about it. It probably isn't, like, as long as, like, say, a Soyuz is, or as narrow as a Soyuz, so it probably turns very well. That's probably why it turns very well. But given the Soviets' propensity for having, very long length-to-beam ratios instead of, like, a lot of engine power, I would probably expect this to have very poor turning characteristics. 16-second rudder shift doesn't help that either. 27.5 knots top speed is pretty decent. The big kicker here, though, is 14.9 kilometer surface concealment. So 14.9 times 0.81 is basically 12 kilometer concealment, which is also, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, Vladivostok is like, I think 12.2-ish. So yeah, it's really good concealment, actually. Because I know even Soyuz is like 12.7, 12.8, something like that. Actually, no, it's 13.1. Is it 13.1 or is it 12.9? I don't remember. What is this? Hang on. Battleship. So it's Soyuz. 16.2. 2 times 0.8. Wait, 13.1. Okay, there we are. Yeah, 13.1 kilometer concealment. So this is actually very good for a Soviet battleship. But of course we're in a smoke fire about these 406s. And it gets fast damage control and repair party. So the overall take on this is a bit weird. I mean, I kind of expected to see a Black Sea Dreadnought at some point, but this is not what I expected. I was kind of expecting the 16-gun monster to come first before the 12-gun ones showed up, and I wasn't expecting it to look this hideous. I mean, nobody expects anything to look good, because it comes out of Russia, except, you know, maybe the Bajoni, but, yeah, this is a bit of a problem in terms of design. Everything else, though, is kind of up for debate. Gun values remain to be seen, especially the AP penetration. This is kind of a why. This is a bit of an unknown why the velocity is so low. Everything else looks kind of decent. I mean, armor scheme is also going to be another thing. If this thing has huge HE resistance but poor AP resistance, that's going to it's going to be good in this kind of meta, but the firing range of 20.8 combined with this dispersion is not going to be great. Reload's kind of on the slow end too. I mean, it'll probably still hit quite hard, and it'll still probably be decent in terms of slugging it out against other battleships. But if the penetration of the guns is not good, then you end up with, you know, some problems, especially against, you know, you're fighting higher tier battleships, which you can't really brute force pen. Also, one more last thing, the Y turret can actually rotate 360 degrees, so there you are. It's a small little quirk. Now, a lot of people have been comparing this to a Zeton. It's basically a roided up Zeton. I think it's kind of just a different take on like a Soyuz. Well, not a Soyuz, like just a scaled up Ismail. So yeah, and now we get to the exciting part. Ladies and gentlemen, our 7th Russian Tier 10 cruiser. This is the Commissar. I was kind of hoping to call it the Kharkov, but Commissar works just as well. This is Project X. So what is this? This is a new universal developed cruiser. This is developed during the 1930s and the 1940s. Designed to work alongside their light cruisers, like Chapayev, the Project 68 and 68 Biz. We see the Chapayev, Sverdlov, Kutuzov, and Dmitry Kozarsky. Sverdlov's not in the game, but it will come eventually. So, what's the big kicker here? 240mm guns, which is nice. This is the third largest caliber on a Russian cruiser, or fourth, sorry. 240mm guns, and then you have 254s on Novosibirsk, and then 305s on Stalingrad, and then 380s on Sevastopol. Okay. So 240mm guns. I'm kind of excited to see what the performance will look like, but Project X, or concept Project X, yes, Project X. So this is kind of a very thin-skinned, heavy cruiser in that sense. It only has 115mm of belt armor, and it's a box. So basically, this entire section here, or like here, that's all Citadel. So that's definitely an issue. And you can also sort of see back there, if I were to, that's the Navarin. If I were to zoom in back there, you can kind of see that that section is extended. This is a hybrid, actually. It's armed with apparently a Nakhimov rocket strike package. Well, so what that means is it'll have the ability to strike well across the map. It's not going to be rocket boosted, obviously. Actually, I think it is. It might be, but I don't know. Yeah, it's got rockets, but I don't think they mentioned rocket boost anywhere. It's supposed to be fast, relatively well concealed, great firepower, but it has shit armor and shit HP. We'll get into the stats here. You can see 43,800 hit points is really low for a tier 10 cruiser. Even the Minotaur, it's only 500 hit points more than the Minotaur, and Minotaur is way smaller than this. The Project X is actually is enormous, and you can you'll see that reflected in the other stats. I mean, 12 240mm guns, this is a 17,000 ton hull that's stretched out to absolute oblivion. So the only way it would actually weigh 17,000 tons is by having absolutely no armor. And so what you end up with is this sort of weird, like, hybrid between a heavy cruiser and a light cruiser, which has really good guns, but really shitty armor. And you kind of see this. I mean, standard fire duration, 25mm plating, but I don't expect this to have any, like, insane Soviet, like, 50mm, I'm going to bounce everything and you can't do anything about it. I kind of expect it to be 25 all over, or it might be 30, or it could be 50, we don't know. Primary battery, 12 240mm guns, relatively decent firing range, good HE performance, 20% fire chance is nice, 940 meter per second velocity is very nice, 6200 AP alpha, 940 meters per second, no improved auto bounce angles from what I heard, but I kind of expect the penetration to be in the region of maybe 675 to 750 millimeters if we're going to extrapolate off of Moskva's AP performance. So, I don't know. We'll see. Decent reload time, 32.2 turret burst, so on the worst end, but it's not the end of the world. Good, I mean, standard cruiser dispersion parameters. It has an airstrike, obviously. It's 8 kilometers. I kind of wish they would extend cruiser airstrike ranges, would make fighting submarines a little bit easier, but they won't do that because cruisers are the oppressed class and they must remain the oppressed class. Yeah, that's Brant's done. Torpedoes. You get two 533mm torpedo tubes. These are basically old Grozovoi torpedoes, actually. 15,100 alpha damage, 10km range, 60 knots of speed. This was before Grozovoi got her torpedoes buffed. These are good denial weapon if you want to, keep people away. These are, or, you're forced to last-ditch rush someone. It might work in conjunction with the AP pen. We'll see. 6.62 130mm secondaries, standard secondaries. These are actually, I think, the same ones. Hold on. What's this? Where are the secondaries located? These are the same turrets on the Navarin. Why does the Navarin have worse parameters? Okay, whatever. That's something only a wargaming can explain in their infinite wisdom. And so, yeah. AA is pretty solid. Again, I mean, look, if you're getting struck by a carrier, you're kind of screwed because this thing probably will have no armor. It's kind of reversing the typical Soviet trend of having, really good long medium range AA and then really poor short range, or no short range AA. But go figure, I guess Wargaming wants to try something different. And this is probably based on the design as it is, because this is, again, a real design project X. I'll link a couple of files down below at the end when I post this video. Flak is practically non-existent. Now, the top speed is great. Rudder shift is pretty good. Turning radius is horrible. 1,070 meters is probably one of the worst for a cruiser. I think the only one that's worse is Stalingrad's 1130. And that's a problem, because Stalingrad at least has some armor, and it can kind of just play pushy, keep away. This has absolutely no armor to speak of. We know this, because if Wargaming actually follow the design plans, it'll have 115mm of belt armor, which isn't good. Detectability, though, 11.5km minimum detection range, which is great. Pretty decent aerial detectability. Good smoke fire penalty for 240s, which is nice. You can see, attack aircraft, 1090 hit point. Yeah, these are basically Nakhimov rockets, just -1 plane. Fast restoration time, good detectability. Yeah, you're basically going to be hitting as hard as, I think, like stock Nakhimov, just with upgraded Nakhimov planes. You do get boosted defensive AA, get a Hydro standard, you get a boosted repair party with a faster cooldown and an extra charge. You do get a standard damage control. The defensive AA, of course, being boosted. It helps, I guess. I think this is basically American Destroyer defensive AA, so you're gonna end up with, like, over 1,000 short-range DPS. Good luck if you're, like, midway bombers. Yeesh. So, what's my overall take on this? It looks solid. The armor is going to be the main problem. If the armor is bad, if it has bad plating, then it's going to get lunched on. Because it doesn't matter how fast you make this thing or how agile you make this thing. A 1,070 turning radius in this kind of a hull and this kind of size is not going to fly. I also expect that rear deck there to be a pretty big shell catcher as well. It might actually be thin enough that, you can be citadel straight through the stern. and that kind of just forces the ship to play at range. It's kind of just another boring long-range HE spammer from initial impressions. That said, though, those 240mm guns, if they turn out to be, have really good performance on AP performance, you can kind of use this for flanking as a second-line cruiser. But that's kind of the only thing you can really do, because if this follows the design blueprints or the design, which it probably will, because this is directly from the Soviet archives. This is like developed in the mid 1930s. It's not going to have any armor, so it can't push, it can't brawl, and if it gets looked at by a battleship, it's just going to blow up. So very fragile kiting second line cruiser. It might end up being good, especially with that Nakamura rocket strike. So yeah, those are all four new ships, and now, of course, just to wrap this up, we're going to go over the testing changes. We're going to go over the changes they made to defense and Yushin. We'll go over Yushin very briefly. Her concealment's going to go from 6.9 to 7.2, so her minimum concealment will go from 5.6 to 5.8. I'm not sure. It probably will affect the ship in some way, but I don't know. It might make it harder for her to hydro trap people. She'll be seen coming from a while away, but she's definitely gonna. Her gun power is insane. I mean, with that 1.7 second base reload, so it's kind of easy to see why they would have nerfed the concealments a little bit, just to make it a little easier for torpedo destroyers and other gunboats to try and catch her and kill her. Defenses changes though are pretty big. Her reload basically got cut in half from 28 seconds to 16 seconds, and her accuracy got changed basically to cruiser dispersion. So it might end up being better, but the main issue is, of course, defense's hull is very large, very bloated. It doesn't have much else going for it. So we'll see how these changes affect the ship, especially down the line. And of course, just to wrap things up here, we changes to Shill, Scarlet Thunder, defense ults got changed again. Kitakami got her gun changed. U4501 got significantly changed. The oh yeah, new leg mods. We're going to be getting the leg mods, new ones for the Guden and the Elding. We'll go over the Shill first. So her main battery reload got increased from 18.1 to 20 seconds. That's a further nerf to her base TPM. Her AP penetration actually increased, and I mean, this had basically crossbay guns, so I kind of expect AP pen to be like, hang on, so this is Germany test ship Shill. This is her penetration now, and if we were to compare that to not Destroyer Premium, we'll compare that to, say, Scharnhorst's penetration. So it's probably now up to Scharnhorst levels. Might be a little bit more, but I do not expect it to have crossed 600 millimeters at all, because actually they both have the same guns. So I kind of expect it to have Scharnhorst AP pen now. That might be what they have changed to. Torpedoes range got reduced from 10 to 8 kilometers. Torpedo speed got increased from 64 to 65. These are the two big changes. She got her survivability massively nerfed. She doesn't have a repair party to begin with, but now she has 44,000 health. That's not a lot, and now she has, of course, fire durations now up to 60 seconds, which is bad, because that's battlecruiser fire duration with this little health and no heal. And of course, to patch that up, Wargaming gave her a fast cooldown damage control, which does nothing. It's terrible on a cruiser. We saw this with Sevastopol. I don't know why they're doing this. And defensive AA is now being interchangeable with Hydro acoustics. You're never going to take defensive AA. You're going to take Hydro. It's German Hydro. It's just too good. Now, what Wargaming did here, though, was the interesting thing. They gave her a improved main battery reload booster, 20-second action time, 120-second cooldown, 3 base charges. 67 seconds means that her reload goes from 20 times 0. Divided by 0.67. Oh no, that's okay. Times 0.33. Her reload will now go to 6.7 seconds. So that means she basically gets 3 shots off in the time that reload booster is active. That might be good, it might be bad. I don't know. I think having that extra burst DPM might work in her favor, but given the amount of survivability nerf she took and the base nerf to her guns, even with the AP penetration improvements, and then Wargaming changing it to the fastest cooldown damage control party, which again, Sevastopol is a perfect example of why it doesn't work. I could see this being kind of problematic. So now, Scarlet Thunder got her reload nerfed from 27 to 29. This is probably just a slight tweak. She might have been overperforming. I don't know. Defense. Main battery reload time was actually increased to 18 seconds from 16. So she got a reload basically cut down by 10 seconds. Might be better. I mean, you know, it should definitely be better now. Torpedo launching angles are now wider, so she's probably out to 90 degrees instead of like 70 or whatever it was before. And she's also going to be getting a better repair party. More HP will be restored. So it remains to be seen how much health per second will be restored. You know, percentage per second. Because I believe it's 0.5 right now. It's the standard repair party symbols of Gibraltar. And she'll now see a better restoration of her ship parts. So if, you know, not Citadel health. So you know, say casement damage, you'll be able to recover 60% of that. So that's a decent change. Kitakami now has HE instead of SAP. She'll receive 2700 HE damage with 11% fire chance, faster reload, and torpedo launching angles are now narrower. I don't know how this is going to affect it, but it might end up making... Theoretically, it might make the ship better, because Kitakami, no matter which way you cut, it's terrible anyways. It's just a bad platform. It's Akuma at tier 10. Stop. Wargaming. This meme died like 5 years ago. Put it away. It's done. Why does it still exist? Okay. U4501. This is the last one. This is probably the controversial one. Acoustic torpedoes will be available only. So basically the same as the British submarines. Slightly increased torpedo arming distance, which means shotgunning might be a little harder. Sonar is going to be changed. Basically to standardized characteristics of, you know, German submarine sonar. Just the reload time's going to be longer, so you're going to end up investing into sonar skills probably. HP was increased. The dive and ascent speed was increased, obviously, so that means she can now move up and down faster. And submarine surveillance was reduced completely. Well, not completely, just cut down by 50%. I'm dumb. Sorry, I'm just thinking too much about these leg mods. But yeah, the existing concept, according to Wargaming, it's low effectiveness. I will neither confirm nor deny that, because I'm under NDA. I can't talk about it. But if Wargaming says so, then go figure. Anyways, now the last thing for today, before we cap it off, because we're already approaching an hour and 15 minutes, this is getting a bit long. Lubeck and Rischeid. So these are going to be the upcoming leg mods that will be probably introduced past 12.9, 12.10 maybe. So what it looks like is Lubeck will be enjoying a slight boost for DPM, but her engine boost will be getting a significant boost, and her turret traverse speed will be increasing significantly. It'll be doubled basically. So as you go from 18-second turret traverse to a 9-second, well, 9 seconds for 180. So this looks like a straight upgrade. Rischeid will be receiving a increase in the number of charges that her airstrike gets, because Guden, as of now, has 2 airstrike charges, and now she'll be getting 3, and the airstrike cooldown will going from 100 seconds to 70 seconds. So what I think Wargaming is trying to do with the... Well, Lubeck is kind of like... This looks like a direct upgrade, kind of like Rose Boys leg mod. Slight DPM increase, but massive handling characteristic increase. Gun handling will be improving, as well as handling in general, thanks to her engine boost going to nuclear levels. I'm just not sure why they even gave her an engine boost in the first place. It's kind of unnecessary. But Rischeid, looks like what Wargaming wants to do here with Rischeid is kind of offer, you know, an alternative playstyle for the Guden, where you're focusing more into airstrikes, rather than focusing into guns. And I actually like this because the airstrike, I kind of always viewed the airstrikes as a complementary weapon to her guns. I mean, she's got 9 283s. The guns should be the primary focus, and, you know, building into airstrikes on a ship with kind of mediocre dispersion as it is, you know, if you're focusing on the guns a lot, it ends up becoming better. But now focus on the airstrikes are going to end up becoming better now. And so I can kind of see this being, you know, like, hey, let's focus more on her complementary weapon rather than her primary weapon. Is it going to be good? Phlegmon, I mean, remains to be seen. Both of these, I mean, right now, Lubex looks like a direct upgrade because, again, as I said, direct buffs to, you know, Elbing's handling characteristics. That 20% engine boost is going to make her a lot more agile. And the turret traverse speed being increased is going to be, you know, a huge boost. As for Reshade, though, probably a secondary playstyle, going to end up being a side grade, much like most like mods should be, and most like mods are. But I can kind of see a lot of potential with this. So anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. I know it's, again, a very long video, but, you know, a lot of content. I can't exactly rush it. I know I stuttered a couple times in the middle. Upcoming, probably going to end up putting out I'm going to put out a review on maybe the Guden or maybe the Des Moines or the Salem in the next 2 to 3 days, depending on how much time I have. In the meantime, yeah, you guys can enjoy this. I don't plan to go back to streaming anytime soon because it's kind of a hassle, just to keep everything in order, and there's just too many problems to sort out correctly. And I'm too lazy to actually do it. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys. Take care. Catch you next time. Shockwave is out.